Okay, here we go again. This is part two of the Lehigh Valley Gorge trip in June of 2005. Hopefully, I won't have any of the technical problems I had yesterday. I'm back after about 9 months or so of not streaming, so we're gonna see how this goes. I've prepped everything, and this set of photos is mainly gonna cover the remainder of the trip on the, I think at the time it was called the Lehigh Valley, or Lehigh Gourge Scenic Railway, but it might not have been a Reading Blue Mountain in northern operation. But I think it is today. I mean, they're going whole hog on the passenger operations now with a station at North Reading and the RDC trips and putting in the signaling using classic signals. Like I said yesterday, I will be up there once all the traditional signaling, on actual railroads goes away. You're gonna have to go to something more preservation oriented. Anyway, here we are, and we're just gonna continue where we left off, having crossed from the CNJ side to the Conrail Lehigh line. The Reading Blue Mountain Northern reactivated a CNJ track. Now, the CNJ used to travel adjacent to the Lehigh Valley, and then at least around from between just north of Mach to CP Emanates Junction, where the Lehigh Valley then crossed to the east side of the Lehigh Gorge. This trip only goes up to CP Emanates Junction, now called CP Freedom, which is where the Reading Blue Mountain Northern takes over on the Lehigh line from NS. Although, again, that might have been pushed further south. I'm not fully up to date of what's going on. So anyway, let's just start here. So here we are at I won't say the CNJ connection. It's from Nescahoning Junction, where the PQ Tower is. The line crosses the Lehigh Valley, Lehigh River, crosses the Lehigh Valley main line, which is now the Lehigh line, rolls around, and today the Reading Blue Mountain has installed interlocking there. Previously, the CNJ would travel on what is now the access road to the recreational canoe and kayak landings. Originally, they went through the Turnhole Tunnel, which I'm just showing there in the thing, but eventually then they realigned it to a different bridge. And of course, anyone who's biked in the Lehigh Valley knows that sort of quote-unquote four-track where the bike route is at a lower level in the Lehigh Valley. Anyway, back to the photos. This is the how it looked in 2005. They had tried to block off one end of the tunnel to keep people out, but that didn't work too well. So at some point they just put up a little fence barrier and made the tunnel safe for the tourists there. There it goes. So let me get back in the old swing of things here. Like I said, this was a pretty nice trip. I don't think this was using a lot of those Upper Pennsylvania tourist line uses the former Reading MU coaches. They were made available from SEPTA at the end of around 1990. Which, by that point, classic-looking coaches weren't seen as scrap metal. They were like, hey, they're fodder for my tourist line. And both those and the Jersey, the Lackawanna MUs got bought up pretty well. So I'm not sure where these are. I'd have to go and do more digging, but it doesn't really matter. So one interesting thing is we approach what they called CP Freedom, which is now which used to be CP Emanates Junction. This is where the NS would take back over on the Lehigh line. I'm not sure what those guys were doing there. So if we roll up, you can see it goes up a couple miles. This is a pretty decent trip too. Hold on, let me just there it is. I'm trying to see what the layout was back in the day. I think there was a wide zone somewhere in there. Anyway, it was a pretty nice trip. It's a couple miles up. You go up pretty far. I probably just hung out most of the time enjoying the ride. But today, the Red and Blue Mountain Northern, I think, uses both the lines branching out of there. This is also the northern end of the Rule 251 operation. Before this time, it was Rule 251, pretty much north of Lehighton, and had been for many years. So one interesting thing as we approach it, you can see the little Red and Blue Mountain Northern end of maintenance sign. And then a whole string of Canadian Pacific units here. At the time, after the CP bought the D&H, their preferred route into the Philly market, they had some amount of traffic rights, because you would see CP trains in Philly. There was something about back when the Conrail was formed that the D&H was deemed to be sufficient competition in the Northeast. And so I think that there might have been some negotiations with traffic rights back in the day to get down into Philly. I'm not sure what St. Lawrence and Hudson number that is. There was a time when the SL and H, I think, was the CP's North American operating subsidiary, which would have taken over on the D&H route, but eventually got phased out. And I think also operated some tracks in Maine. And for a while, everybody was all tracking it's like tracking the Sioux painted locomotives. Which I think a few of them are still running around. Yeah, so at this time, the S and SL and H were still around. I forget when the last one got repainted, but yeah, CP was a very EMD heavy railroad, especially back in the day. They don't have a lot of engines, actually. If you couldn't tell, these are all SD40s. It's gonna reverse the order here. So yeah, that was a nice treat. I'm not sure why those were waiting. I thought they went up to CPM and H Junction, but it looks like they were hanging out at that. So there was like a little mini yard thing. Here they were. This is where we were. Hey, look, is that a tourist train? Might be. Yeah. Actually, there's the tourist train with the caboose. Here on the Google Maps photos, the caboose and the open gondola car. It looks like they even have a little mini platform to do something with. I guess they let you out there, maybe to bike or walk back. Yeah, they had a little inter-track siding, and that's where they would. You can see there used to be a little hand crossover, and that's where they would terminate the tourist trains. It looks like that's what they still do. So I was wrong. They didn't take it all the way up to M&H Junction. They took it almost all the way up. Or maybe they did. I don't know. Let's see what happened to 5593. Maybe I can get a bead on it. Oh, it is STLH. Let's see what the last time it was spotted. It looks like 2012. But I will go and modify the where's the reporting marks there. So RailPictures.net says this guy was last spotted 2009, 2010. Man, that site's slow. 2011. Looks like 2013 in Ontario. And I think it's on a deadline. Not looking so good. Let's just see there. Yeah, that's looking a little bit worse for wear. You know, that's the last time anyone saw it. Okay, moving on. This would be coming back crossing the Lehigh Valley, Lehigh line. I don't know if Lehigh Valley was east-west or... I gotta be east-west. Because it ultimately went to Buffalo. Yeah, see, and there you go. The Nescahoning Bridge, the Nescahoning Junction Bridge. I don't know, I'm gonna... But you can see the rafters right down there. So, I don't know who did the lower... Lehigh. We always would go in when I went with my scout troop. We'd always go in at Whitehaven and we'd float down to that middle put in. So this is way off topic. You started up at Whitehaven at Route I-80, and the bike route would go all the way to Mach. You could do that in 2 hours. That was really it's a great bike trip. The rafting trip would dump you out. There was like a midpoint where it would dump you out, and I think it was there at Drake's Creek. Yeah, that's it. That was kind of to get the rafts out, you'd beach on that rocky thing there, and you'd drag them up this creek under the railroad bridge. They didn't actually make you cross the railroad bridge, or the railroad tracks, which I guess was a good liability thing. But it's a good trip. I don't know if I've ever canoed it. I know that I've rafted it. I'm not sure you can canoe it, but I think I have, and I think that was more fun. But don't take my word for it. Usually you don't, if the rafts are out, you generally don't do the canoe trip. That's a little above the skill level for most scout troops, but I can't quite remember. Here we go with PQ Tower. So this is odd. This was listed as being a GRS plant, General Railway Signal, with a pistol grip, and those are all electric machines. It's just built into what they are. You don't have pneumatic versions of them. But this tower is built like it has a compressor shack on it, which would indicate a USNS plant. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to go through I got a book. It's actually in the other room, but I could find photos and try to dig out what sort of plant it was. With the number? You're not going to give me a number? What is this, a 10-wheeler? Looks like a 10-wheeler. All right, time to go to Google again. It's CP 1098. I don't know what happened to that one. Let's see, CP 1098. We have a locomotive wiki thing on it. Looks like they've they repainted it. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. They've renumbered and repainted it, and they look like they've dropped it down somewhere as a bill. They said it's used as a billboard now, so it's CP 1098. Well, at least it looks slightly nicer. So I'm going to address the. I'm labeling all these as Mach chunk, which is the proper name of the town. For some reason, in 1912, in the 20s, the town named it after then world's greatest athlete, Jim Thorpe, who famously won the decathlon at the Stockholm Olympics. And I have no problem with Jim Thorpe. It's just I kind of like the original name of the town a little bit better. So, and a lot of the railroad stuff was listed as Mach chunk, especially on the CNJ. So that's why just to be unambiguous. It goes to show. Don't name your towns after sports heroes. After a little while, people aren't going to know who the hell they were. I mean, a lot of places are named after people that they don't know where they are, but usually not a first and last name. You'll get Gary, Indiana, which is named after someone of judiciary fame, if you get my reference there. But I mean, going full hog of first name, last name, and the name of the town is like, hey, I live in LeBron James, Ohio. If they probably go in, well, if he had stayed in Cleveland, they might have renamed the city after him there. But, it's 100 years from now, it's not going to age well. Okay, so here we have one of the Reading MU cars, number 9102. Reading like to number its MUs in the 9000 series. And you can tell with the Silverliner 2s, which are in the 9000 series as well. I don't know. I'd have to go look it up to see if this one was rebuilt with air conditioning or when it was retired. If it became a quote unquote blue liner. Blue liners were the ones that were rebuilt by SEPTA. Yes, it is painted green, but this day, it might have been after it was painted once in the 60s, it might have been just repainted green at some point. No, these are built in house. Surprisingly, I forget who supplied the electrics. At Bethlehem Steel, I think did the car bodies, and then they were assembled at the Reading shops, which was just the Reading was able to do this during the Depression. So it just shows you the quality of those things. They could hit 75. That was way better. They were much better cars than the MP54s. The MP54s. I mean that was. I mean, forget about the age, how old the car design was. Just the power system in that. That's a 1915 technology right there for the AC ones. So the 1930s blue or green, Reading cars, later to be called blue liners, were by far the better ones, and they lasted a decade beyond the and SEPTA service a decade beyond the MP54s. And there's a lot more of them now than there are for the MP54s. Looks like today's going to be a short day. I probably should have shortened things up yesterday. It's going to have like one long session and one short session. Uh-oh. Got some photos out of place. That's annoying. Oh, that's right. Back when I redid these, it screwed up the dates on them. So all the things that got rearranged, I've been rearranging by date, not by whatever. So that's, always forget about that. It's nice to hear that you can see all the styles of caboose. But yeah, they are not there anymore, and it makes you wonder where they went. Here we have an Erie. You can see the different two styles of caboose with the top lookout or the side lookout. I remember the whole point of those little cupolas or side bumps or pop outs were to look for hot boxes in the days before sealed roller bearings. So it looks like I have to have a whole bunch of out-of-order photos here. So here we have the other end of the CNJ AA set, and I'm pretty sure this would be number 56. The other one was 57. You know? So that was a good trip then. I'm sure it would still be a good trip today. I don't know where these CNJ units went. I could probably find that out too. A lot of those got moved around too and repainted. You'd think like, oh, you know, so many of these, you see an F unit that's painted something, and yeah, these went to Steamtown. I think they're getting redone as they're gonna get redone as like a DL&W set. They were really nicely painted. I mean, they were like an ABA set in CNJ colors. You know, it's really nice. Yeah, they lived in South Jersey for quite some time in the 1990s. But yeah, I was pretty sure that I heard that they'd gone to Steamtown to be turned into, I think, an EL type thing. That was 2009. That was the last time that they were. Huh? Did they get repainted as Reddings? Huh? Maybe they did. Huh, anyway, there you go. Let's see what's next. Okay. I'll redo some of those at the end, but. Yeah, make sure that when you have something batch rotating your folders, you make sure that it doesn't redo the date information. If you do accidentally redo the date information, make sure you remember it before you go and you know, order your files by date and start chunking through them. Yeah, I hope that they're keeping the SD50s as SD50s. Reading Blue Mountain. I think that they. MPI eventually got all the gremlins out of the EMD 645F engine, as shown by the very reliable MP36 line of passenger diesels. So the main thing about the EMD 645F was that the EMD sort of bumped the RPM up, maybe some other things just to squeeze an extra 600 horsepower. But I don't know what they did. Because they were apparently unreliable. But it was all in their quest to keep up with the GE and their offering of a 3600 horsepower engine in the Dash 7 and Dash 8 series. Only using a 16-cylinder engine. Eventually, EMD would solve its issues with the 710. All right, more pictures of PQ Tower. I'm going to go to that tower site. Where was that? It's somewhere. It's probably off my blog. Let's see if I can find photos of PQ Tower in there. I'm pretty sure I put it in the links. Oh, credits. No, I don't want introduction. Come on. Illinois, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. It's got to roll down to PQ. PQ Nescahoning. Looks like general railway signal. Don't know why it needed the whole extra room, though. Yep, see a semaphore plan all the way through the 70s. I think it had been abandoned by that point. I don't know when that was taken. Maybe they've put a dab of paint on it to get rid of some of the graffiti. Yeah, it's 2017. Yeah, it'd be nice to get up there. See what's up. Wow, that's interesting. So this is 2017, and the picture I just took or showed you if I can find it. Let me go and get the original on that. Here we go. Wow. Fudge. You can see the difference. All of this used to be, this is 2005. There's open space behind the tower. 2017, boom. 10 years, look what's grown up. You go back another bunch of years, and in the 70s there was just all rail yard with just cinders and cinders and cinders. Yeah, just shows you how quick nature can reclaim stuff. On the overhead, yeah, I guess it's not that overbuilt. They're just a bunch of trees that popped up right near the tower. But yeah, still goes to show. What's next? These secondary tracks were always enjoyed, or sometimes they'll put boards and stuff on them. Well, now I know how to spell Nescahoning. Yeah, you can see, that's always the advantage of the fun fan trips, getting to pop your head out and enjoy the ride. So this was an interesting thing. Right previous, even as far back as 2005, for all those who think that all this resignaling is a new thing. Like I said, the Lehigh line had been run under Rule 251 operation pretty much from Lehighton upwards. There was a little bit of 261. I can go and pull the let's go to the I got time here. Let's go to the records here. I gotta find the Lehigh line one. So here we are, back in time, Lehigh line. Here we go, CP Lehighton, and let's just get, here we go, speeds, method of operation. So between Lehighton and Packerton Junction, so there's two tracks, and one was bidirectional, number 2, and one of them was 251 west. Then Packerton and MAH Junction, which is the part that this is traveling on, is just pure to Rule 251, a distance of 121.9 miles, Rule 251. And for years, even with the Reading Northern pretty much operating track 1, as it says here, you can note there it's Reading Northern was running. Conrail would just, it had that track too, and they would just be issuing a lot of Form Ds because they just didn't feel like investing in the signaling there. God bless Conrail for just being tight-fisted. It paid off in a number of interesting ways. I mean, it's just like for years. I mean, this timetables were for like the 1997 one, and I'm sure that I don't know when they leased out that thing to Reading and Northern on one of the tracks, but at some point NS was just said, screw this, and they put in ABS on that extra track there. And this was sort of new. One of the first times, a year before, or in 2002 or 3, I had been there, and they were still had still ABS, and this went up sometime between 2003 and 2005, and they used this is when I first noticing that they were using very long blocks. That you used when this was ABS, the mileposts were every 2 miles. And this is where they went to this sort of, we're saving money. We're just going to put in, we got 9 miles. We're going to put 2 signals in. Okay. And here are the other 68 on. Get these done. Knew something was wrong. What? Did I take 2 photos of that? Guess I did. Let's go to the thing. Let's see what's going on. I got some people. Any questions, say something. Sorry, this one's a little bit boring. So yeah, and again, because it is interesting. Also, you're seeing the use of the solar power. Again, this is 2005. Solar power. What's that? I'm just gotta find the right way to verticalize this. Yeah, got some. Wasn't bad at lighting back then. I'm gonna go with a square aspect ratio here. Sometimes I do that just to 26E. And that signal's still there. They haven't changed that at all. I saw a recent photo of it from someone doing a run up there. So, yep, here's some of your scenery. I wonder what I saved that as. I can probably go find the photos back in the day. And I'll give it a temporary name and figure that out later. But nah, it's a really wonderful trip. You can see also here the difference between the svelte welded rail NS track and the jointed rail Reading Blue Mountain Northern track. I think the RB Reading Blue Mountain Northern is basically leased it all the way to Scranton, so I'm not sure what NS actually runs up there. There we go. Is that one? Huh, another one I missed. Wait, hold on. And there you can see the bike trail. Very well graded. I think it's something like a 1% downslope all the way from Laurel, whatever the summit is, up near Scranton, to wherever the bike trail ends, pretty much, which I think is Lehigh or Mach Chunk. Yeah, it ends at Mach Chunk. So yeah, you can just blast down it with minimal effort. Yeah, not sure where I would have put those photos. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know I guess I was riding on the back, so that would be 5022 there. And here we can see, and this is still there too. It wasn't operating, but this is one of the ABS 251 signals on the second track, which up until when it was still pretty much two tracks, was the distant signal to CP Emanates Junction. So yeah, the ride, at least at the time, took you all the way up to CP Emanates Junction. At least within 2 miles of it. I should probably bike there just to get a picture of that guy. Again, I remember, when I was on the bike trip, I saw the signal. I probably went up and took a close look at it, but you don't have a camera. That wasn't just something you took around with you. And even for the longest time, even when I had a camera in my first couple years in college, my parents had a DSLR. My dad got it from my mom, and she never really knew how to use it. But I took that around and took a whole bunch of pictures with it, and even on a lot of the scout trips. But I wouldn't have carried it with me on a bike thing. So, it reminds me of that. I'm gonna make a very obscure Simpsons reference when Homer was trying out that motion capture suit for that tech company Animotion, and someone said, like, just think about all the wacky movements going uncaptured, to justify why they would have this technology. And, it's just, you got to think about, like, you'll go back pre-digital and just think of all those interesting things that you saw that went unrecorded. And, today that's not a problem. XKCD had a really poignant comic where it said, like, the probability that all these things like aliens and Sasquatches and stuff exist, and correlated with the number of people carrying around a high definition camera video recorder with them. And you just think, like, how many, you go back to the 70s and a lot of people, especially with how lax everything was, get people getting into towers all the time. How much of the operation of these things would have been captured. Some of it actually was on, with people in their camcorders, but, now everybody can get in there. But unfortunately, again, not only was, high, by the time the stuff to record it came around, the actual old school tech had largely been phased out, but also, the modern liability sense came in. So, yeah, but just imagine if those had been a little less moving in lockstep, sort of like in Europe. Well, I am just going to finish up here. Let's just see what's going on in the chat. I'm not sure I don't know what's going on, Brad. I hope you can hear me. Looks like you can. I would just said, I was just proactively saying hey there in chat. Trying to spice things up a little bit. Let me know if you have any questions. So I'm just going to finish up with it. See, I think did I take 2 pictures of this? Oh, fart. I did the first batch, and then I deleted the... Oh, that's even worse. Got that one. And I got that one. Okay. Now I gotta dig stuff out of the old recycle bin. Oops, that's not. Those are the pictures already filtered out. Oh boy. All right, let's grab another 12 here. What on earth? Oh, here we go. So you're gone, and you're gone, and you're gone. Yep, these are the ones I missed. Uh, 18, 19, 20, 21, and I think 44. Alright. Looks like I have some bonus photoing here. Forgot a few. That's another thing when you screw up your whatever. Okay. Got that one. And that one. Okay. Okay, here we go. Hey, we're back at North Philly. That's always fun. I didn't get this one, did I? Yeah, I missed that one. Now I gotta go get the map up. Yep, sorry for the disruption here. So that's 52L, 34R. Yeah, it's one interesting thing you would have occasionally. So here we have in the I was just getting a side shot of the gantry here for the R8 signals. Now they had raised the 34. Where's that? 34R had always been a high signal, but here it is prepped for the medium speed they raised it to. The 32RC had also been elevated from a dwarf, restricting only dwarf to a high signal. So let me see, 34R, 32RC. But you can also see they had this little, if you see this little dwarf down there, and that's the 52L, and that one was interesting because it had a clear indication, so you could send someone up the ladder, he'd move reverse direction on under signal control through the inbound platform, and then switch over to the correct track. I don't know why that would have been necessary, but I guess if something, I have no idea. I don't know. They let you do it. So it's 52L rear. 2L. And all this stuff just got super simplified when they redid it. Oops. Next of about 4 pictures here, we have a picture of the tower with the gantry there. It was crappy that day, but the new LED signals do look pretty nice, although not not quite as good as a properly focused bunch of amber position lights. I guess this would be a good if I had to pick one picture that I guess represented this day, it'd probably be this one, because you got the old tower looking there at the new lights up, but still not having them cut over. So, yep, there's your good picture for the event. Come on. Sheet. Whatever. And of course, this up close and personal front view of the tower. All this the mural, as I said, the muralist. I think they finally all the windows have been boarded up now. But the mural is still kind of there. This is if you didn't notice, this is was put in about the same time as the Fair Tower in Trent. Videos are on YouTube, so I'm not selling any. Come on. Something's thrashing my computer again. I think it's the when I open up some of these larger folders. It's trying to index them. Let's just see if I got that picture. Is that the one? Looks like it. Oh, I had duplicates. All right. And that looks like everything. So anyway, delete all that stuff. Yep, that's it for today. Tomorrow, I will be back, and I have a plan for something. Possibly a trip to Syracuse I took in the summer of 2005. It's a lot of good Hudson Line action. Pre-resignaling Chicago line. I'm not doing the Shoreline Trolley Museum. And I got a couple of one-dayers in here too. This stuff going to Fenway Park. That could be worth it. So I'll pick through them and pick one of those two. Probably the Fenway Park trip or the Syracuse. Syracuse is probably a little bit more interesting. So anyway, let me just check to see if anyone's asking anything. Yes. And everybody's gone. Oh well. Did it die? Oh shoot. Well, I'm calling it a day. Laters.